Hi, welcome to my video on factoring number 1, practice number 1B. And in this unit, or this video I should say, we're going to factor a trinomial where the leading term is a 1x squared. Number 1, if x squared plus bx plus c is factored over the set of integers, b, which is right here, is the sum of the factors. C, right here, is the product of the factors. So if you had two binomials being multiplied, then it would factor into this is the product and this is the sum. C is positive when the signs of the factors are. C is the product, so the product is positive when the signs are the same. That is two pluses or two minuses. C, which is negative, if the factors, signs of the factors are different. So that is, signs are plus and a minus. The product of a positive and negative is a negative. Number 2, state each. We have this column is trinomials, and the product is on the end. The product is C. Product is 5. The sum is in the middle, 6. Product is on the end, C, negative 6. The sum is in the middle, negative 1. Product is 8. Sum is negative 6. Product is negative 15. Sum is 2. Again, the end result is the product right here, and the sum of those factors is in the middle. And for each of the above, all these trinomials here, find the integers which are the product and the sum. So the product is 5 and the sum is 6. So product is 5, so that's 1 times 5. So it could be 1 times 5, or it could be negative 1 times negative 5. And because the product is positive and the sum is positive, so we must have, so the factors are 1 and 5. Multiply 1 and 5, you get 5. Add 1 and 5, you get 6. So the sum is positive, has to be two pluses or two minuses. Because the product is positive, the sum has to be two pluses or two minuses. And because the sum is plus, then we have a 1 and a 5. B, product is negative 6. So the product is negative 6 and the sum is negative 1. So the product is negative 6, so the factors are 6 times 1 and 2 times 3. But the product is negative, so that means the factor's got to be a positive and a negative to give us a 1. So 6 and 1 will never give us a 1 when we subtract, because if the product is negative, the numbers are plus and minus. That means they differ by negative 1. So 6 and 1 won't do it. It has to be a 2 and a 3. But it's negative. So one of these got to be negative and the other one got to be positive. So the larger one, or the bigger one, negative 3 and plus 2. Multiply these two numbers, you get negative 6. Add these two, you get negative 1. C, we have a product of 8. And we have a sum of negative 6. So the factors of 8 are 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. Now, again, the product is positive and the sum is negative. So they have to add up to give us a 6. So 1 and 8, if you add them up, you get 9 or negative 9. So it must be 2 and 4, but we have to check. The product is positive and the sum is negative. That means there must be two negatives. So negative 2 times negative 4 is 8. Add, we get negative 6. D, product is negative 15. And the sum is 2. Okay, factors of 15. 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. The product is negative, so that means that we're subtracting the factors because the signs are different. So 1 and 15 won't do it, because if you subtract here, you'll get a 14 or negative 14. So it must be a 3 and a 5, but one of them got to be negative. And because the 2 is positive, sum is positive, then that means the larger one is positive. So it must be negative 3 plus 5. So multiply, negative 15, add 2. Again, if the product is positive, the signs got to be 2 pluses or 2 minuses. And if the sum is positive, then there got to be 2 pluses. If the sum is negatives, 2 negatives. And let's, for each of the above, express as a product of binomials. So, what we have, a product of binomials, so we have an x and an x. An x and an x will give us the x squared on the first term. And we have a 1 plus 1 plus 5. So multiply 1 and 5. You get 5. Add, you get 6. B, which is right here, these are the factors. And it makes no difference which one you put first. It's x and x plus 2 minus 3. Multiply. So if you did the FOIL on this binomial, you would come up with right here, x squared minus x minus 6. And we have the third one. We have brackets. Again, we have x and x because that gives us x squared. Factors are 8 and 6, so it's a plus 8 minus 6. Again, if you did the FOIL on this, you get, let's just try to FOIL. We get x squared minus 6x first outside. Inside is plus 8x. Outside is a negative, did I say 8? But I get 8 and 6. Oh, I was looking up here. It's minus 2. My mistake, minus 2. Minus 4. I was looking up here to pick up the answers are here. So when you multiply, you get x squared minus 4x minus 2x, and negative 2, negative 4 is a plus 8. So that gives us x squared minus 6x plus 8, just to do check on the flaws. Good thing I did check on this one because I made an error. Again, if you multiply these two, you get 8. If you add these two, you get negative 6. So the product is here, the sum is here. And the last one, let's do this one correctly. Make sure I got an x and an x. And the product is negative 15. But remember now, and the sum is 2, so these are the factors. So I got a negative 3 plus 5. Multiply, negative 15. Add, plus 2. And again, if we did the FOIL on that, you would get this trinomial. Okay, let's continue. Factor each over the set of integers. So we have x squared, so this is a quadratic, so it's made up of two binomials. There's no notice there's no GCF here. So we got x squared is x and x. The product is 10, and the sum is 7. So the factors of 10 are 1 and 10, 2 and 5. So which pair of factors give me a 7? It's not 1 and 10. So it's got to be a 2 and a 5. And the product is positive, and the sum is positive, so it's a plus 2 plus 5. Check it out. 2 times 5 is 10, add plus 7. And again, here we have a binomial, no GCF, so it's x and x. And what we have a product is negative 6, and the sum is negative 1. So the factors of 6 are 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Which pair of factors will give me a 1? 6 and 1 will never give me a 1 because the product is negative. You're subtracting. So it must be 2 and 3. And the product is negative, so the signs are different. So it has to be a plus 2 minus 3. Multiply, negative 6, add negative 1. And again, trinomial, no GCF, so we got brackets. X squared is x and x. The product is 9. The sum is negative 10. So the factors of 9 are 1 and 9, 3 and 3. So which pair will give me a 10? 3 and 3 will never give me a 10. So it has to be 1 and 9. Product is positive, which means the two signs are the same. So if the product is positive and the sum is negative, it must be negative 1, negative 9. And again here, no GCF, so it's a two binomials, it's x and x. The product is negative 14, and the sum is 5. Notice I always do my product first because it's the factors, the product of the factors that we have to get. So it's 14 is 1 and 14, 2 and 7. So which pair will give me a 5? 1 and 14 will never give me a 5, but 2 and 7 will. 2 and 7. The product is negative, which means we have to have a plus and a minus. So these are plus and minus, but the larger number is plus. So 2, 7 is larger, so it's a plus 7 minus 2. Multiply, negative 14, add 5. And I do these the same all the time, same pattern. Again, x squared is x and x. Notice there's no GCF. X is not common, no numerical GCF. The product is 11, and the sum is 12. The only factors of 11 are 1 times 11. So these are the only factors we can have, 1 and 11. Product is positive, sum is positive, must be 2 pluses. Multiply, 11, add 12. And again, two brackets, no GCF. Quadratic has two factors, so it's x and x in each bracket. Product is negative 32. The sum is negative 14. So 32, we got 1 times 32. It's even, so it's 2 times 16. And I see a 4, so it's a 4 times 8. Now we got more factors, but the product is negative. So that means that it must be a plus and a minus. So I can go a plus and a minus. And what factors will give me, because the product is negative, we have to subtract to get the 14. So that if you subtract here, you get 31 or negative 31. You've got 2 and 16. If you subtract here, you get a 14 or negative 14. 4 and 8, if you subtract, you get a 4, plus 4 minus 4. So that'd be 2 and 8. But because this is a plus and a minus product is negative, the larger number has to be negative. So we got a plus 2 minus 16. Multiply. We get negative 32, add 14. And the same here, bracket, x and x. Product is negative 50. Sum is 5. Factors of 50 are, I always do 1 first. I see an even number, so it's 2 times 25. I see a 5, so it's 5 times 10. And I think that's all. Factors of 10 are 2 and 5, so 2 is here, 5 is here. And now, you have a product is negative and the sum is positive, so we have to have a plus and a minus because the product is negative. What factors will give me a 5? 50 and 1, again, because we have a plus and a minus, you subtract. This is a 49 or negative 49. This is a 23 or negative 20. So it's got to be, subtract here and you get a 5. So it's positive 5, so we have to have a positive 10 and a negative 5. Multiply. Negative 50, add plus 5. And again, I always repeat, there's no GCFs, so we got to use brackets. So it's x and x gives us the x squared. Product is on the end, 18. Sum is in the middle, negative 9. Factors of 18 are 1 and 18 is even, so it's 2 and 9. I see a 3, so it's a 3 and a 6. 6 got factors of 2 and 3. We have all the factors. So the product is positive and the sum is negative. Product is positive, it's 2 pluses or 2 minuses, so it has to be 2 minuses because the sum is negative. So that means you're adding up your factors to get a 9. Add, you get 19 or negative 19. Add 11 or negative 11. No, it has to be 3 and 6. So 3, 6, multiply 18, add negative 9. And again, double brackets, x and x. Product is 45. Sum is negative 12. 45, we got 1 times 45. I see a 5, 5 times 9. And 9 got a 3, so this got to be a 3, and the 45 is 15. 15 got factors of 3 and 5. So the product is negative, so we have to have a plus and a minus. And they differ by 12. Differ by 12? Nope. Differ by 44, differ by 4, differ by 12. And the larger number is negative, so 15 is negative, and the 3 is positive. Multiply, negative 45, add, negative 12. And we have one more. We got an x and an x. It's a trinomial, so it's x squared is x and x. And factors, the product is 7, and the sum is 3. Product of 7 is 1 and 7. It ends in a plus. The product is plus, the sum is plus, so it's got to be 2 pluses. So the only answer is 1 and 7. But 1 and 7 add up to give me 10. So the sum of these two is, 8. So that means that the only factors we can have are 1 and 7. So it's a plus 1 plus 7 or minus 1 minus 7, but it has to be a 1 and a 7 to give me that product. But the sum is not 3. So this is factorable. But this is factorable, but we need more math to do it. But it's not over the integers. Let's put an I for integers. It's not factorable over the integers. So I just wanted to throw that one in. There's a bit extra there. And let's do some more. Factor each. Now we have a trinomial, but notice the leading term is negative. So we should remove that negative. So negative divided by negative is positive. Positive divided by negative is a negative. Positive divided by negative is a negative. So we have a product of negative 18, and we have a sum of negative 7. So 18 is 1 times 18, even is 2 times 9, and 3 times 6. So we had a trinomial, and we took out the GCF, which is 1, and the negative. So it gives us x and x. So what pair of factors will multiply to give me negative 18 and add, because the product is negative, we will have a plus and a minus. So what factors, and because the product is positive and a negative, because the product is negative, factors are plus and minus, they differ. Differ here is 17, differ here is 3. So it must be 2 and 9. But the 9 it's got to be negative. The larger one got to be negative. So it's 9 and 2. So multiply, negative 18, add negative 7. So that's the answer. B. Now you look at this one. First thing we got to do is also make sure it's in descending order. So we got a negative x squared minus 10x minus 28. Okay. So let's see. We got to take out the negative because there we go. Now we have, we took the negative out, so they're all pluses. So the product is negative 28 and the sum is 10. Product is negative 28 and the sum is 10. Make that. Factors of 28 are 1 and 28, 2 and 14, and 4 and 7. 4 sevens are 28. So the factors, let's see, has to be, we got an x and x gives us x squared. Now the factors are both positive, so we got to add to give us 10. Oop. They add to give us 29. They add to give us 16. They add to give us 11. So again, this is factorable, but it's, let's say, over the integers. So we can't factor this one over a set of integers. We need more math to learn more math. And let's look at this one. We have x squared. We got to do descending order. X squared goes first, then x, then the constant. And we have any GCF? Nope. So we got x squared is x and x. So we have a product of -3, and we have a sum of 2. So the factors are 1 times 3. So that's the only ones we have, so we write them in. The product is negative, so it has to be a plus and a minus. But the sum is positive, so the positive one is 3, negative is 1. So multiply, -3, add 2. Again, product is negative, so it must be plus and minus. But because the sum is positive, the bigger number is positive. Perfect. And again, we have descending order here. So we got x squared is first, then 15x, then 26. And there's no GCF, so that's if it's factorable, we got to go double brackets, x and x. And we have a product of 26, and we have a sum of -15. 26 is 1 and 26, and is even, so it's 2 into 26 is 13. So the product is positive, sum is negative, so it must be 2 pluses or 2 minuses. Because the sum is negative, it must be negative and a negative. And they add up, 26 is that gives me 27. If you add them, this gives us 15. So it's got to be 2 and 13. -2, -13, multiply. 26, add, -15. Perfect. And the last question, find all possible values of k if x squared plus kx minus 6 is factorable over the set of integers. So we got x squared plus kx minus 6. So what happens, we have a product of -6, and we have the sum is k. So the product is -6, so it must be, we must have 1 times 6 over 2 times 3. Because the product is a -6, and we don't know what the sum is, that means we have to have -1 times 6, or we got 1 times -6. So if you multiply these two, you get -6. But notice it's -1, 6, 1, -6. We got a 2 times 3, or we could have, -2 times 3, or 2 times -3. Again, multiply, you get -6. So these are the possibilities to give you this product. So if you have this one, that means the sum is 5. If you have this one, that means the sum is -5. If you have this one, that means the sum is 1. If you have this one, the sum is -1. So that means k, which is the sum, is plus or minus 5, or a plus or a minus 1. This is another way to say it. So I could have wrote them out 5, comma, -5, comma, 1, comma, -1. But the plus or minus is a shorter way to write it. So that's the possibilities of the sum when -6 is the product on the end of that trinomial. And that brings us to the end of this review. And again, like all of them, if you like my video, click on the like button, subscribe button. And I'd like to thank you for viewing my video, and I hope the video was of some help to you. Bye-bye.